All right, so we're diving into a wild story today.
Yeah, a wild one.
You've been digging deep into Black Sabbath, Ascension, Exploitation, and Heritage.
Yeah.
And it's pretty clear that Black Sabbath's journey,
Mm-hmm.
it's not just your typical rock and roll rise and fall.
No, not at all.
It's a glimpse into how the music industry, especially back in the 70s,
Right.
could really take advantage of its artists.
Absolutely. It's a dark side of the industry.
Yeah, and what I find fascinating is think about Tony Iommi clocking out of his last shift at that sheet metal factory.
Right.
He probably had no idea that those metalworking skills,
Right.
would actually end up shaping the sound of heavy metal music.
It's like poetic almost, isn't it?
It really is. It's
Yeah.
that blue-collar background finding its way into music.
Absolutely. And it's crucial to their sound,
Absolutely. And then you've got Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah.
He's done testing car horns, geezer butlers out of his accounting gig.
Right.
Bill Ward's done with the pub scene.
Yeah, they all came from these regular jobs.
Exactly. And they come together, they form this band called Earth,
Earth.
playing blues covers in these Birmingham pubs.
And they struggled, right?
Oh, they struggled. Half-empty pubs.
Yeah, just trying to make a name.
Until a horror film across the street kind of sparked this idea.
A horror film, really?
Yeah, literally their rehearsal space was across from a cinema.
Okay.
And they see these massive lines for the movie Black Sabbath.
I see the connection.
And they're like, wait a minute, let's change our name. Let's lean into these darker themes.
It was a brilliant move.
It was.
Especially considering the music scene back then.
Yeah, it was all about peace and love.
Flower power. Yeah.
Flower power, and then here comes Black Sabbath.
Right, with these heavy riffs, these dark lyrics.
Exploring a different side of life.
Exactly. A side that people maybe didn't want to admit was there.
And yet, they got rejected by 14 record labels.
14.
14 labels said no to them before they finally found a home.
You've got to wonder what those labels are thinking now.
I know, right?
Like missing out on one of the most influential bands ever.
It's incredible, and it's even more incredible.
What's that?
They recorded that debut album in just 2 days.
2 days.
On a tiny budget.
Wow, that's raw energy.
Raw energy. And it captured something special because it stayed on the UK charts for 42 weeks.
That's a huge success.
Massive. And they sold 500,000 copies in just 6 months.
Wow. Back when 50,000 was a hit.
Exactly. 50,000 was a hit. They sold 500,000.
So they were selling out 10,000-seat venues practically overnight.
Overnight, they went from those half-empty pubs
Yeah.
to selling out these huge venues.
It's the dream, right?
It's the dream. And then comes Paranoid.
Paranoid, one of their most iconic songs.
Written, as legend has it, during a 20-minute lunch break.
No way, during a lunch break.
During a lunch break while they were on this insane touring schedule.
They were touring like crazy, right?
300 shows a year.
That's relentless.
Relentless. And they come up with Paranoid almost as an afterthought.
It's amazing how these iconic songs sometimes just happen.
It really is. And with Paranoid, the money started rolling in.
Big time, huh?
Big time. 100,000 albums a month.
Wow.
Merchandise flying off the shelves.
They had the whole package?
A whole package, and they were commanding top dollar for their shows.
So Black Sabbath was becoming a rock and roll empire.
An empire, but as we know, even empires can crumble.
Yeah, that's the thing about empires.
They can crumble, and in Black Sabbath's case,
Mm-hmm.
it was more like a betrayal from within.
The betrayal.
Yeah, enter Patrick Meehan and worldwide artists.
Oh, this is where things start to get interesting.
This is where it gets shady.
Shady, how so?
Meehan, he was the one who promised them the world.
Promise them the world. Like what?
American tours, private jets,
The whole rock star lifestyle?
the whole 9 yards.
Right.
Their original manager, he'd gotten them this far.
Yeah.
But Meehan, he dangled this picture of even greater success.
I can see how that would be tempting.
Oh, it was irresistible.
And at first, did he deliver?
Initially, yeah, he delivered. First-class flights, luxury hotels,
Wow, living the dream.
sold-out shows across America. He showered them with the trappings of wealth and success.
But there was a catch, wasn't there?
There was a huge catch.
A huge catch.
But before we get into that, what do you make of Meehan's strategy here?
That's a good question.
Was this just good business?
Right.
Or was there something more sinister going on?
Well, Meehan was definitely a master manipulator. No doubt about that.
Yeah.
He knew exactly how to play on their ambitions and maybe their naivete.
Yeah.
These were working class guys from Birmingham.
Right.
Suddenly thrust into this world of luxury and excess.
It's easy to get swept up in it all.
Oh, absolutely. It's dazzling, isn't it?
Yeah.
All that glamour.
Yeah.
And Meehan used that, didn't he?
It's like he used the allure of success to blind them to what was really happening
Precisely.
behind the scenes.
That was his real genius,
Mm-hmm.
his financial schemes.
Yeah.
He created this web of shell companies.
Shell companies.
Yeah, all designed to funnel their earnings away from them.
So their money's just disappearing.
Exactly.
Wow.
Merchandise, tour income, royalties.
It all went into these companies that he secretly controlled.
Every penny.
Wow. It's crazy how they could be living this rock star lifestyle, you know?
Yeah.
On the surface, everything's great.
Right, private jets, fancy hotels.
Yeah, but all the while, their money's just vanishing.
It really speaks to Meehan's skills as a manipulator, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, keeping them in the dark for so long.
Yeah, and I'm curious about this. You said there were cracks that started to show,
Yeah.
and one of them came from their old manager.
Yeah, their old manager, the one who actually helped them get their start,
Right.
he ended up suing them.
Suing them.
Yeah,
Wow.
and he won.
He won.
Yeah, and the court actually ordered Meehan
Okay.
to pay most of the settlement.
You'd think that would be a massive red flag for the band.
Yeah, you would think.
Right. I mean, they're selling out stadiums, flying on private jets,
Mhm.
but their former manager has to sue them.
Yeah, it's a pretty big sign that something's not right.
Yeah, it doesn't add up.
But Meehan was good at what he did.
Okay.
He was a master of smoke and mirrors, keeping them distracted, keeping them believing that they were making a fortune.
Okay, so then comes this massive show
Yeah.
at the Rainbow Theatre in London.
Mm-hmm.
Their biggest payday yet.
Huge show.
Huge show. I bet they thought they were finally going to see some real money.
Yeah, all that hard work finally paying off.
Exactly. So what happened?
Well, the show grossed $50,000,
$50,000.
which was an enormous sum back then.
Mm-hmm.
But when it came time to split the earnings,
Okay.
each band member received a measly $1,000.
Wait.
That's 2% of the total.
Hold on. Something's really wrong here.
Yeah.
Were they even aware of how much the show actually made?
Well, Meehan, of course, he had an explanation.
Yeah.
Oh,
He presented them with pages and pages of expenses,
Expenses.
lighting, staff salaries, equipment rental, you name it.
Okay. Sounds legit.
All legitimate costs
Mhm.
on paper.
But there was a catch, wasn't there?
There's always a catch.
Let me guess. Those invoices, those contracts,
Mm-hmm.
they all led back to companies that Meehan secretly owned.
Exactly. He was basically using their own money to pay himself.
So he was just enriching himself while keeping them completely in the dark.
That's the gist of it, yeah.
It's mind-boggling how he pulled this off for so long.
Well, they were busy touring, recording.
Right.
It's easy to overlook those details when you're caught up in the whirlwind.
So they're making, what, over $100,000 a month at this point?
Yeah, at least.
But still only seeing a tiny fraction of it.
It's a sad story, really.
It makes you wonder how many other artists were taken advantage of back then.
It's a sobering thought, isn't it?
Yeah.
Music industry has always had its dark corners,
Right.
especially back then.
And it's a good reminder, I think,
Mm-hmm.
that fame and fortune don't always equal security.
No, at all.
They were at the top of their game.
Yeah, selling out massive shows
But
for
financially.
being bled dry.
And then came California Jam.
Oh, yeah.
Big one.
The legendary California Jam.
250,000 screaming fans.
Headlining?
Black Sabbath headlining one of the biggest music festivals
Yeah, get much bigger than that.
of the decade.
Yeah.
They earned $250,000 for that single performance.
Life-changing money.
You'd think so, right? But by this point,
Mm.
the band was starting to get suspicious.
They had to be.
So what happened when the check arrived?
Same story. Each band member received a paltry $1,000
$1,000.
out of $250,000.
That's when it really hit them, huh?
That's when the truth couldn't be ignored anymore.
Meehan's fabricated expenses, they couldn't hide it.
Mm.
This was just blatant theft.
It was.
What a betrayal, I can't imagine. The
Yeah.
anger, the frustration.
All that hard work, all that success.
And they're left with practically nothing.
It was a devastating blow.
And it gets worse, right? Because this is when they uncovered the full extent of Meehan's deception.
This is where it gets really bad.
They hadn't just signed a management deal.
Nope.
They had unknowingly signed away ownership of their music.
Everything.
Everything. Songs, lyrics, recordings.
Every note, every lyric, every master recording.
It all belonged to Meehan.
They built this incredible empire, but they didn't own any of it.
So they're left with nothing.
A mountain of debt and the realization that they've been robbed.
What do you even do at that point? How do you recover from something like that?
Well, this is where the story takes another turn.
Okay.
Enter Don Arden, one of the most powerful figures in the music industry.
Wait, wasn't he known as, like, the Al Capone of pop?
Yeah, that was him.
What was his connection to Black Sabbath? Al Capone of pop. That doesn't exactly sound like someone you want in your corner.
Yeah, he had a reputation, that's for sure.
Ruthless, intimidating.
A force to be reckoned with, yeah.
And you said his daughter was Sharon?
Right, Sharon, who later married Ozzy.
So there's this roundabout connection to the band.
Mm-hmm, a family connection.
So did Arden actually help them?
He did step in, yeah.
Okay.
Offered to fight Meehan, helps them regain control of their music.
Sounds promising.
But, well, his motivations weren't entirely altruistic.
I figured. What was he after?
He saw an opportunity, to get a piece of Black Sabbath's empire for himself.
Oh, so they go from being exploited by one manager to potentially being controlled by another?
Yeah, out of the frying pan into the fire, kind of.
What a mess. What happened next?
Well, things got messy, that's for sure.
I bet.
Lawsuits flying around, financial records disappearing.
Sounds chaotic.
It was, and the band was right in the middle of it.
Caught in the crossfire.
A full-blown war between Meehan and Arden.
This is insane. They must have felt like they were in a nightmare.
It was a chaotic time for the band. A lot of stress.
Yeah, and then to make matters worse, right?
Hmm.
They get hit with these massive tax bills from the UK government.
Yeah, the taxman always gets his cut.
They owed taxes on money that had vanished into Meehan's shell company.
Right, money they never even saw.
So on top of everything else, they're facing financial ruin.
It was a crushing blow, really.
They go from playing to 250,000 people at California Jam to facing bankruptcy.
It's a classic tale of greed and betrayal, isn't it?
It really is, but you said there was a silver lining to this whole story.
There is, yeah.
What came out of all this chaos?
Well, Black Sabbath's downfall, as awful as it was, actually led to some pretty significant changes in the music industry.
Changes? How so?
Their experience, it was a wake-up call
Okay.
for artists and the industry as a whole.
They'd be more careful.
More than that, it exposed how vulnerable artists are,
Right.
especially young artists. And it highlighted the need for stronger protections.
So their pain and loss actually helped create a fairer system for other musicians.
You could say that, yeah.
What kind of changes did their case lead to?
Well, for one, artist contracts now.
Yep.
They require much more detailed financial audits.
So more transparency.
Exactly, management companies.
Yeah.
They have to be much more transparent with their accounting.
Okay.
And importantly, publishing rights agreements.
Yeah.
They now have expiration clauses.
So artists can eventually get their work back?
Regain control, yeah.
So Black Sabbath's story, as crazy as it is, became a catalyst for positive change in the music industry.
In a way, yeah.
Their misfortune helped protect countless other artists from suffering the same fate.
It's a bittersweet victory, for sure.
They lost their empire, but they left behind a legacy of a more equitable, transparent music industry.
A legacy that benefits everyone.
What a story.
It's quite a ride, isn't it?
It really is. And their music, of course, it's still so influential today.
Oh, absolutely. They helped birth heavy metal.
Generations of musicians inspired by Black Sabbath.
Their impact is undeniable.
It makes you wonder, what if they hadn't been exploited?
What if?
What else could they have accomplished?
It's a fascinating thought, right?
Yeah.
Would they have stayed together longer?
Mm-hmm.
Would they have pushed the boundaries of music even further?
We'll never know.
It's a question that'll probably always linger.
Yeah, I think the big takeaway here for anyone listening is that even at the height of success,
Right.
you have to be aware of the potential pitfalls.
Absolutely.
You need a good lawyer.
Yeah.
Read contracts carefully.
Every word.
Understand where your money's going.
It's crucial.
Black Sabbath's story is a reminder that talent and hard work, they don't always guarantee financial success.
Unfortunately, no.
It's a cautionary tale about the importance of protecting yourself.
And your work, your art.
Well said. Their music might have explored the dark side, but their story shines a light on the importance of awareness, protection, and that enduring power of creativity.
That's a good way to put it.
This has been an incredible deep dive into Black Sabbath's wild ride.
It's been a pleasure.
And for you listening, I'd leave you with this. Black Sabbath experience, it sparked positive changes.
Yeah.
But what other examples of artist exploitation come to mind?
Right. Think about it.
What else can be done to protect musicians, protect all creative professionals, really?
It's a conversation we need to keep having.
Absolutely. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning,
And keep diving deep.
keep diving deep.